underway. You can kill my mind for flow when I went slow. Hold me till I scream for air to breathe, and wash me over until my will runs dry. Send all your sins all over me, baby, baby,
new series called Who the Fuck Did My Dad Marry? And I will say that my full motivation between this is just to kind of like stick it to the man, because my dad mentioned in November we had my little cousin's wedding, and he's like, oh, he decides it's a good idea to lean over to me and say like, oh, have you guys spoken yet? Referring to me and his wife. And I said, no. Why would I speak to her? And he says, oh, is that still a thing? And I said, it's gonna always be a thing. Like, it's a forever thing. Like, I don't fuck with her. She's a bad person. And he's like, I didn't know there was still gonna be an issue. And I thought we would have got past that. And I said, no, I don't hold hate in my heart, because that's not the kind of person I am. I don't have room or space for that. But I only keep certain people in my life, and I don't keep people with that kind of energy in my life. And he's like, well, let's go to lunch or dinner and like talk this through and try to figure out so I can figure out where you're coming from. That was in November. It's about to be February, and that has not happened. Not only that, but we've had a conversation about why I do not fuck with her. We had this conversation years ago, shortly after I graduated, because he made this sly comment saying, oh, you moved out of the house because you didn't want rules. And I corrected him. I said, no, I moved out of the house because I was tired of being physically and emotionally abused. And he acted dumbfounded. And it was at that moment, I was like, wait, is he really serious that he did not know? Did I assume? Or is he just playing like he has fucking amnesia? So I called my best friend that was friends with me at the time where like the peak of this was going over, and she was like, absolutely not. That man knew exactly what was happening, and he's in denial, and he's trying to make himself be a martyr or whatever. Not a martyr. That's not the right fucking word, but you know what I'm saying. So I let it go at that point, because I'm just like, you know what? For the sake of me keeping the relationship with my one living parent, I'll just, make adjustments. It'll be surface level, whatever. But yeah, so this is my story. I'm going to call her, let's call her Tina. Okay. So my dad and Tina is his wife. We're going to call her Miss Tina, because that's what I was told to call her, because I would not call her mom. Instead of being able to call her Tina, like a normal kid would be, I was told to call her Miss Tina, okay? So this story starts when I am a sophomore in high school, and it really just ran from my sophomore year to my senior year, because after I graduated, I moved the fuck out. So my dad's been married 3 times. The first woman he was married to is my little sister's mom. Lovely lady, have the best relationship with her. The second woman he was married to was my longtime stepmom. For purposes, I'm just going to call her Wendy, because I don't want to confuse myself with trying to keep up with fake names. So her name is Wendy, okay? Me and Wendy were really close. He started dating Wendy when my mom was still alive. My mom passed away when I was 6 years old. Him and Wendy, I believe, were already married when my mom passed away. Wendy knew my mom. They had met each other. I remember talking about Wendy to my birth mom, my mom. And she was the woman that basically raised me from when my mom passed away when I was 6 until I was like around 14, 15 years old when her and my dad got divorced. She was a huge mother figure to me. She had a little screws loose, but she wasn't perfect, but she loved me hard, And I ended up eventually calling her mom. That was something I felt comfortable with. That is who she was to me. She was not ever trying to replace my mother. She was just an additional mother figure to me. Same way that I call my little sister's mom, she is another mother figure to me. I also can call her by her first name because she's not fucking crazy and has this like complex about kids calling them by her first name, whatever. So he divorces Wendy to marry Tina, and at this point he's telling me now that he is dating this woman, and I'm asked him how like you've met, how long have you guys been together, because she lives in Ohio, we live in Texas. And so he's telling me that they've been dating for about a year, and I'm already having red flags because I'm like, wait, you were married a year ago, what do you mean you started dating her a year ago? Like, is this the reason why you divorced my quote unquote mom? So I'm already kind of like hesitant on the relationship and not really feeling it. So I first meet her right before my 15th birthday. She flies into town, and my dad was someone that really didn't care about what I wore. The only comments he would ever make is concerning like shorts, if they were too short, or if like jeans were like skin tight, painted on, he'd be like, that's not like age appropriate. But other than that, he didn't really care. He was just like a normal dad. I had this obsession with like skull paraphernalia when I was younger, and so I had this skull belt. I loved it. And he was going to pick me up, and we were going to go to the airport to meet her for the first time and pick her up so that she could come spend our birthday together, because me and my dad have the same birthday. So I am dressed in this outfit. I have my school belt on, and my dad turns to me. He goes, "Can you take that off? I don't want you wearing that to meet her the first time." This man has never cared about what I'm wearing again. So I'm like, okay, weird. Like, why are you like policing my outfits now all of a sudden when you've seen me wear this belt multiple times? You gave me the money to fucking buy it, you know? So I'm like, okay, whatever. This is already like rubbing me again the wrong way, because like, why would you be okay dating someone that wouldn't be okay with who your daughter is? So she comes to town, meet her. She's nice or whatever. She starts to pick apart little things I notice. For instance, at my birthday party, one of my friends like shoved some cake in my face, which is a normal thing to do when you're 15 years old. When you're a kid, that's a normal thing to do. Cake in the face is it's a normal part of childhood, I feel like, and even to adulthood sometimes. And so she starts to take these little things over time, and she'll take them. This was the first instance of her doing this, but she'll take these little things and kind of twist it to manipulate it to make it seem like and paint this picture that I have bad friends. And this was going to be the start of what would be her alienating me from my long-term friends and anyone that knew me like prior to her. Anyone that I had a close relationship, I was no longer going to have a close relationship after like she enters my life. So she slowly starts to come in town more and more often. I have a conversation with my dad, and I'm just like, hey, like, I want you to be happy, do what you need to be happy, but I don't want any part of this relationship. It sits wrong with me. I don't feel comfortable with it. Like, have your relationship, but keep me out of it, basically. And me and my dad were so close that I felt comfortable having this conversation with him. Those conversations would cease to happen, and we would no longer have like heart-to-hearts anymore after she became involved in the picture. So I guess my dad told her about this conversation at some point, because during one of her visits down here, she comes into my room, and I had this like little door hanger on my door, and it said something along the lines of "nice people only." And so she takes that personal, which if you're taking it personal, girl, that says a lot about you. She takes it personal. She comes into my bedroom, she closes the door, and I'm sitting on my bed watching TV, and I'm kind of like, why is she coming in here? Like, what do you want? Nice people only. Well, I'm gonna come in regardless. I'm like, okay, weird take, but what do you want? And she's like, your dad told me about your conversation with him, and I'm just here to tell you, I'm here to stay. Like, I'm not going anywhere. And you're a child. You don't have any right to have those kind of feelings or have those kind of opinions. We're gonna do whatever we want. And I'm like, okay. Like I said my dad can do whatever he wants. I just want to be not involved in your relationship. But like, why are you taking this so personal? Like, why? Like, this didn't have to be a conversation. So fast forward, eventually I end up finding a printout of an engagement ring on my dad's printer, and I'm like talking shit to my friends, because I'm like, how the fuck is he gonna marry this girl? They just met, and like he just got divorced. Like, what's going on? And we're passing notes back and forth. I'm calling her a gold digger. Yes, I do. That was kind of mean. That was kind of wrong. I didn't know her financial situation. And going back and forth. And the next time she's here, this note mysteriously falls out of my backpack. And that is the start of her snooping through my stuff and then painting this picture of scenarios that didn't really happen. So I get in trouble for calling her a gold digger and voicing my opinion and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that was not right. That was not nice. I get it, whatever. Like, that, I fucked up on that part. But okay, I won't talk shit about her anymore. Like, I'll keep it private, you know? I'll keep my opinions to myself, basically. In my head, I'm thinking like, no, I just won't take I'll throw the notes away. I won't bring the notes home, you know? I'm going to still voice my opinion, whatever. So fast forward, and it's the end of that year, and I'm starting this new series called Who the tells me that they're going to get married. It is December. I don't remember the year, but it's December. They're going to get married. He's going to go to Ohio. They're going to elope and have like a small little ceremony with her family and friends and her kids, because she has 3 kids. And he asked me to go with him. And at this point, I was like, no, I'm not going to go. I had my cell phone taken away. I'm pretty sure I had it taken away because I had gone over my text messages and ran up the phone bill. And so to entice me to go to the wedding, my dad was like, hey, come to the wedding and I'll give you your cell phone back. And I was like, no, thanks. I'm okay without my cell phone. I don't want to go to your fucking wedding. And so he went to his wedding by himself. Nobody went. I went to go stay at my grandparents' house, and I just peace, you know, I stood my ground on that one. So fast forward a couple months later, they're looking at houses. They end up purchasing a house, and it's quite a bit away from the school that I was going to. I was going to a fine arts school for dance at the time, and where we were moving was going to be about 40 minutes away. That was a problem. So I was going to be moving from my school to a public school, which was like, okay, whatever. I have 2 years left of school. I really would like to finish it out with my people that I've like grown up with, but like I had no say in it. So, I'm finishing out the school year. This is my sophomore year, and I get asked to go to prom with one of the senior boys. I was a sophomore, he was a senior. My dad was kind of iffy because he was like, I don't want you really dating, especially not a senior. He's going to be in college, you're still in high school. And my thing was, I don't really care about dating this man. I want to go because this is my last time to spend time with my friends. A lot of my friends were going to that prom because they were on like committees and stuff like that. And so I was like, this is a good time for me to spend time with my friends, say goodbye, have fun before I transition to this new school. She takes it upon herself, and this is where she's like trying to buddy up to me and like become my friend. And so she starts to do this like fake advocacy for me. And she's like, oh, I talked to your dad. We're going to let you go to prom. I told him that's important for you to spend, using my words, I told him it's important for you to spend time with your friends and just have fun. And she's like, if you just make me a deal that we don't get you a white dress because you need to save that for your wedding, then you're good. We can go. You can go. And I'm like, oh yeah, bet, like perfect. Like, thank you for doing this. I'm thinking like, oh, maybe she's not as bad as I thought she was. She like is helping me get something that I want. I don't remember exactly what the reason was, but that was given and then was taken away. I did not end up going to that prom. Fast forward, it's the summer. I do this dance camp, and I am excited about this dance camp because some of my old friends are going to be there. And then I end up figuring out that one of my friends actually lives in the neighborhood that we just moved into. So I'm like, perfect. This is maybe not so bad. You know, she's not as bad as I thought she was. I have a new friend in my neighborhood still, or I have a friend in my new neighborhood still. And you know what? It's just 2 years of high school, and I'm going to be gone anyway. So what does it really matter, you know? So during this dance camp, one day she's dropping me off because my dad works a lot. So I spend a lot of time with her. She usually runs all the errands for like taking me back and forth to places and everything like this. So she drops me off to this dance camp one day. And as I'm getting out of the car, one of the staff members working says this compliment to me. And she's like, oh, Jordan, I'm so excited to see you. I just love seeing your face in the morning. You're always so happy. You're so positive. This was a normal comment for me to have because I was just genuinely a happy fucking kid. It was something that I was like, how people have resting bitch faces. I had like a resting happy face. I always looked happy as fuck. Like I was just a joyful person. And that rubbed her the wrong way. She said there was no reason for me to be that happy. Instead of being like, oh, I applaud you for still being happy after everything that's happened to you, referring to losing my mom at such an age because it was traumatizing. She took personal offense to that and made it known that she did not think that I was genuine. She thought that my happiness was fake because there was no reason for me to be that fucking happy. I was like, okay, well, this was one of the seeds that she started planting, and she would reiterate this to the point where now even in my adult life, I do not have a resting smile. I do not have a resting happy face. I look pissed off most of the time, honestly. But this is something that continued. She made these comments until I kind of believed like I should not be this happy in my fucking life. So we do this. I end up one day going to take a walk around the neighborhood, grab my iPod, and I walk around the neighborhood. I go hang out with one of my friends because that was a cool thing to do. It didn't matter what you were doing outside. If you were outside, you were outside. All you had to do was be back home by the streetlights. That was always the rule with my parents. Like, I never had curfews or anything like that. I didn't have to like check in or anything like that. I come home a little bit later. It was still sun out, like whatever. I had just been gone for a couple hours. And I get my ass handed to me. It was like, I was so disrespectful because how dare I go into someone's house that they didn't know? And I'm like, this is someone that I've spent weekends at their house. My dad knows them. Like, my dad worked with this person, with my friend's dad. So they knew each other. They had these relationships. When I was younger, because of how close-knit my friend group was, and we literally grew up together, we would all like alternate and like spend weeks at each other's houses. Like, we would just have like these massive sleepovers. It was just what we did. And so for me to go be walking, run into a friend, and then like go hang out with them for a couple hours, that was not anything that was like a bad thing or anything like weird, you know? But it was now. And I was just like, okay, I can see the shift in dynamic. Maybe she's not as cool as I thought she was. Because like, why am I getting in trouble for stuff that I never got in trouble for before? Whatever, keep it moving. I start school. I meet 3 girls that end up being my best friends and end up being probably the only thing that keeps me sane in this life, you know, in this time period. So I start school. I end up, there's some controversy about me going to the homecoming because it was like, someone had asked me to go to the homecoming, but it was like, oh, I just met this person because I literally just started school in August and I wasn't going to go with them anymore. And I just wanted to go with my friends because that's what we did when at my old school. Let's just go with friends. I don't really care about boys like that. And it wasn't believed that I would want to go to homecoming without going with this boy. And I was just so like, all talks about homecoming stopped. I ended up being able to go to homecoming because one of my friends actually just called my parents and asked and was like, hey, can she go with me? Like, I have like the perfect thing for her to wear. Like, I have an extra ticket. Like, let's just go. So I ended up wearing one of my friend's dresses and having a perfect night, everything like that. That later was an issue because it was like, how dare you embarrass me and make them feel like I can't get you a dress, blah, 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 blah. Girls know we share dresses, we share clothes all the fucking time. I probably still have clothes in my closet from friends of mine. Like, it's not a big deal. But everything that was small would end up being big. And this was just the beginning of that happening. There was this one point where she would say, like, I wasn't calling her mom. I was calling her Miss Tina because she thought it was disrespectful for me to call her Tina. And it was very disrespectful that I didn't want to call her mom, even though I had just met this woman. And she thought that it was desperate and hurtful that I still called my dad's second wife, Wendy, my mom. And she painted this picture like that woman that wanted nothing to do with me. So I was desperate. I was clinging for attention. And she couldn't understand why I would want to call someone mom that wasn't even there for me whenever she's there for me all the time. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, first of all, I just naturally call her fucking mom. I was a child. I was a baby, basically, whenever I met that woman. And she was my mom. She was my mother for 10 years, you know? I've known you for 10 minutes. I'm not going to call you fucking mom. She really sent me over the edge when she alluded that my mom, my birth mom, my real mom that passed away, she said a comment about her being an unfit parent and that she didn't do enough for me as a child. My mom was dying from cancer. She had 3 daughters and she was dying from cancer. And she had full custody of me. I lived with her. She did the best she could for me and my sisters. That fucking woman, was she perfect? Probably not. Again, I was a child. I was very young when she passed away. But how dare you fix your mouth to disrespect someone's mother that has also passed away? And then you want to fix your mouth and say that I should call you mom? Bitch, fucking please. So at this point, she's like saying I'm like disrespectful and all these things. And I was very much so like, I'm going to respect like parental figures. I'm going to respect adults. Like, I'm going to respect anyone in a position like of like that's older than me, anything like that, I'm very respectful. So for her to tell me that I'm being disrespectful, I'm sitting there thinking like, fuck, am I being disrespectful? Like, do I need to do this? Like, it started playing these mind games with me. So I tried to call her mom like once or twice, and it just felt fake as fuck. And I was like, no, you're not my mom. You're not my mom. You're never. I'll call you Miss Tina. That's what you want me to fucking call you, because I'm not calling you mom. I will roll over in my grave before I call you mom. You're no. So at this point, I had met her kids too. So she had 3 kids, an older daughter that was in college, and then 2 sons, one that was maybe like a year older than me or a year younger than me, and then like a toddler. So my dad tells me that they're gonna get married. It is just
my dad update.
So this happened.
My dad.
So me and her kids started having these relationships. I had the closest relationship with her son because we were like a year apart in age. Her daughter barely came down because she was in college and doing her own thing. And then she had a younger son that was maybe like 4 years old. They all lived in Ohio with their dad. They didn't come down here for Texas. At the house, it was only me. My little sister lived with her mom. So I was the only kid in the household. And then everyone that would just come visit. This one time, her son came to me and he was like, you know what? Kind of asking me how things were going, asking me like how I'm liking it, how I'm like adjusting to his mom being there, everything like that. And I was just telling him stories. And then he told me that the first time they came to visit, the reason why his sister doesn't come down as much is because the first time they were here, she was texting her dad the whole time, asking him to buy her a flight home because she did not want to be here because she was so miserable. And he said that she paints this picture. He was kind of just telling me like, look out for this. He loved his mom. I don't want to get that twisted at all. Those kids love their mom and they have a relationship that I will never know of. All I know is what was told to me, and we related on shared experiences. She is not my mom. She is she's the woman that my dad married. Okay. And that is all the relationship he has to me. I don't have any loyalty to her. I don't need to no, after what she's done, no. So he would tell me stories about whenever their parents were married, she would tell the dad like, oh, if I'm not happy, nobody in this house is going to be happy. Or she would say, said that whenever I'm on the phone with my friends, look to see if I see the conference on because she will listen to your conversations. And that made sense because I saw that on the phone, but I didn't know what the fuck that meant. And sure enough, I started looking at it. Whenever I was on the phone with my friends, she'd be on the phone. And they would make sense because I'd be like, sometimes she would bring up things in conversation. I'd be like, I know I didn't fucking tell you that. How the fuck do you know that? And I'd be thinking like, I didn't write this down in a journal. I didn't have any notes written about it. Like, how the fuck do you know this? And it made sense. A couple times, at some point in the relationship, she stopped saying that I could eat her food, basically, because she made a comment about me never helping in the kitchen. But the one time I did try to help in the kitchen, she berated me. She said that I was a fucking idiot because I had confused the cabbage for the lettuce, or I confused the lettuce for the cabbage. And then when I asked for help in how to cut the lettuce, because I had never done that before, I didn't cook, she said that I was wasting my time, wasting her time. If I didn't know how to do it, then just get out the fucking kitchen. So, okay, I tried to help, but whatever. Like, the whole reason for me coming down here is because you said that I didn't know how to cook and I wasn't helping in the kitchen. Now that I'm trying to help, you're calling me a fucking idiot. Okay, whatever, I won't fucking do it. And then it would be nitpicking how I wash the dishes, because I would make dishwater, make dishwater, and then I would also put soap on the dish rag, and she'd be like, oh, you're wasting my fucking soap, blah, 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 blah. So eventually I stopped washing the dishes because I can't do it right. What the fuck? And so she is like, that's rude, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you tell me these things and I stopped doing it because you just berate me. What do you want? So it was, if I can't do my part, then she won't do my laundry. I can't eat what she cooks, anything like that. So I started only cooking what my dad made, or what I had in the pantry that I could heat up. So I lived off of like beans and rice, Chilean rice, chef boyardee, ramen. Like, those are what I ate. And I had home cooked meals whenever I went to my grandparents' house, or if someone came over because she wanted to paint this picture perfect picture, I would have a home cooked meal and get to eat whatever they ate. If I changed anything, like if I remember, I used to have this fascination with eating fettuccine with ranch. It's probably gross as fuck now, but that was my shit back then. If I did anything to alter what she cooked, I was being disrespectful. And it's just like, no, it's just my preference. Like, I can't eat the food the way I want to. No, it was disrespectful. So my dad did all my laundry because they also never wanted to teach me how to do things. So yeah. At one point, she came into my room. My dad worked a lot. So again, I spent a lot of time with her. At one point, she comes into my room and she tells me, I had just gotten home from school. She tells me, you don't have to say anything to me. Don't speak to me. Unless your dad is around and we want to play this picture, then don't say anything to me. You can pretend I don't exist. And I was just like, okay. And like, after she was walking out my room, and I just remember like sighing, like, didn't say anything. She turns around, excuse me? I said, I didn't say anything. She said, that's what I thought. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, what is your problem? Like, what is your problem? And so then she would say that, but then she would go to my dad and be like, Jordan's so disrespectful. She doesn't talk to me unless you're around. She doesn't say hi to me. She doesn't acknowledge me. And I'm just like, so my dad would come down to me and be like, you're being so disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm doing what she said. And I would tell my dad this and he'd be like, that doesn't even make sense. Yeah, I know it doesn't fucking make sense. Like, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. Like, what do you mean? So then I started to spend a lot more time at my grandparents' house. And my sister, if I was home, I would go out to my friends, or I was grounded all the fucking time. And I didn't have a lot to do. I didn't have a cell phone to get in trouble for because I had read over text messages, I think, and I just lost that privilege. And I did good grades. I did have like trouble in like history and like economics, but I was a good kid. Didn't drink, didn't party, didn't do anything wild, anything like that. But I was always grounded. Like, something would always get me grounded. I remember this one time I couldn't go to my cousin's house because I forgot to bring my laundry down one day. I forgot to bring it down one day and I got grounded. It was World War III. I was called disgusting. I was called dirty. I was called unhygienic. I was a slob. I would never amount to anything because I did not bring my laundry down this one day. And then after she got done like chewing my ass out for this, like the next day she'd be like, well, I'm going to let you go to your cousin's house because it's not fair that she gets punished because you can't do your responsibilities. So it was always this like give and take. I'm going to let you do this because you can't, your actions shouldn't affect other people. And it's like, it was not that deep to begin with, you know? And this one time, she had started to talk and pick apart my weight, and not only my weight, but my friends' weights. And I was a dancer. I had stopped dancing when I went to public school, but I was still like a pretty active person. She would say that I had a muffin top. She would say that my jeans were short because I gained weight in my thighs, and that ended up making the fabric shrink. Instead of being a growing person, I grew and I got taller, so my jeans are shorter, you know? She said that I was promiscuous because I wore a skirt with like some like knockoff Uggs, even though that was a trend back then and I was perfectly fine. She said that I was promiscuous because I would be cold, blah, blah, blah. All these things. She would take away, if I wore something, like the skirt I wore when I was being promiscuous and cold, she took that away. If I wore something that was my favorite item or something like that, it would disappear. And I'd be thinking, damn, I must have left that somewhere or lost that, or maybe I let my friends borrow it. No, I one day found a bag in the office with all my clothes in there. But she would say, like, just body shame me and all these things. But to the point where my senior year, I ended up doing cross country. I hate running. If anyone knows me, I hate fucking running. But I joined cross country solely so that I would not have to be at home. And I joined activities so I wouldn't be at home. I lost so much weight to the point where my bus driver, she pulled me aside. I was the first one on the bus, last one off the bus. And we kind of like just bonded and talked because she was a sweet, like little older lady. And she pulled me aside one day before I got off the bus. And she was like, are you okay? Like, tell me, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, what do you mean? She's like, you've lost a lot of weight and I need to know what's going on. Should we be concerned? Like, are you okay? Is everything okay at home? And I just, oh yeah, it's fine. I just started working out more. I was doing cross country, so the workouts were vigorous, whatever. I was not in cross country that long to be losing that kind of weight. It was because I was eating fucking rice and beans. I was eating ramen noodles. I was not eating a balanced diet. In the next video, I'm going to talk about when the actual like physical abuse started. And it's two main times that happened. And this is when I was just like, okay, shit's real. At first, I just thought, oh, this person just doesn't like me. And I didn't really put the word abuse to it until these instances happened. And then I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, that's when it got serious. At first, it was just like, okay, you're playing mind games with me. You're making me feel like I'm crazy, but it's not that deep. But then she started like physically assaulting me. And that's when I was just like, okay, I gotta get the fuck out of here because this is not acceptable. This is not cool. This is not should be happening, you know? So yeah. So the very first time that she hit me, she slapped me across my fucking face because I did not eat a sandwich and I lied about it. She picked me up from school and was taking me to a dentist appointment. And I think in my lunch at the time, I was taking like a sandwich and like fruit, like an apple, orange, whatever like that. And I think that day I had eaten like an orange or an apple and I didn't eat my sandwich. But I lied about it because I knew that if I didn't say that, I knew that if I said that I didn't eat my sandwich, and then I was going to get in trouble because I was going to be like wasting food, whatever. And it wasn't that I was not going to eat it. I was just wanting to eat it after my dentist appointment because I didn't want the bread in my teeth or anything like that, you know? So we're driving down the highway and she asked me if I ate my lunch. I'm like, yeah, I ate everything. And she's like, oh, did you? I'm like, yeah, I ate everything, whatever. And she's like, open your lunch back up. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I lied. Like, I'm going to get in trouble for this. Thinking I'm just going to get like yelled at. I'm used to being yelled at this point. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll just get yelled at again. I don't really care. So I open my lunchbox. As soon as I show her that there's a fucking sandwich in the box, I have this like hand that's meeting my face and damn near like shoving my head against the window. It's just, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And I'm like stunned. I'm too stunned to fucking speak. And my hand goes to my face because I'm just like, I've never been hit in my fucking life. What the hell just happened? And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, and she's like, get your fucking look off your face and put your fucking hand down, acting like you're a fucking victim, like berating me. Like she didn't just like slap me because I didn't eat the fucking sandwich. And she's like going in. I don't even remember what the fuck she was saying because at that point, I think my ear was ringing. I was just like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what is happening? And we're on the way to this dentist appointment. So we get there, park, I jump out the car, and I think she said something along the lines of like, you better get your shit together. And I'm just like, okay, like I'm gonna go to the bathroom because like, what the fuck? And at this point, I wish that I was like smart enough to be like, I need to tell these people like something's going on and like, I need to call the police or something. Like, because it could have been stopped, I feel like nipped in the bud at that point, but it was not. So I go to the dentist, and this lady, she had been my dentist for years. I was a junior, senior in high school at this point, and she had been my dentist since I was like in 6th grade. So she knew me very well. She had known even me. She had a relationship with my stepmom Wendy, so she like even knew that this was like a new woman in my life, everything like that. And she said something to me at the appointment. She was like, you seem like you're not your like normal cheerful self, because again, my personality was cheerful, bubbly. I was like a fun, giggly girl. I was very like lighthearted, easygoing. So for me to not be talkative, smiley, anything like that, it was abnormal. And I was just like, I think I said something like, oh, I'm just not feeling good, or I'm just tired, or something like that, because I was doing everything I could not to fucking cry. Finish the dentist appointment, go home. It's like, I don't even think I told my dad, because I was just like, he has to know. Like, at this point, I'm thinking he has to know, like, what the fuck happened? Or I think I was thinking at that point, there was so much that had happened that it was painted this picture of, oh, she's a liar, she's doing this, when it was just her twisting the story. I just thought, oh, if I tell my dad right now, he's not going to believe me. I'm just going to make things worse for myself. So I just kept about it, whatever. What about my business? I think I might have told my friends at a point, but I really don't remember, because I felt very embarrassed, which was not how I should be feeling, because it's not anything I did, you know? But that's how my mind had started to change, and I started to think that there was a reason for these things happening to me. She would tell me, we were a family that went to church every Sunday religiously. She would tell me that I was going to go to hell, that I needed to repent to Jesus because I was such a disgusting, deceitful person, that I don't remember exactly what she said about God and my mom, so I'm not going to repeat that verbatim because I don't know what it was, but it was fucked up for sure. But she said that basically it's disappointing that whenever the church and the preacher asks for people to come down to be forgiven, that I don't go down there. I should be ashamed of myself for not doing that. So the next time at church, I went down there. Didn't know what I need to be forgiven for, but I was just like, God, like, fix me, because something is wrong. Like, I don't know what I'm doing to make this happen to me, because the picture she was painting is that everything that was happening to me was because of my evil spirit. My older sister is like 8 years older than me, and then I have a cousin that's maybe like 8 or 9 years older than me. They used to come to visit me. So at that time, they were probably like mid-20s. They used to come visit me and stay for the weekend because I was not allowed to go over there as much. So they would come and visit me, take me to dinner, take me to the movies. This was a normal thing. And one time after they left, she berated me. She said that I was selfish for letting my sister come out here and spend her money on me. She said that I was selfish for not taking my sister out and doing all these things. I'm like, with what fucking money? I have no money. You guys give me no money. Like, I don't even get a fucking allowance. And just like picking me apart and making me like out to be a bad sister. She said that my little sister and me both danced. She would say that I was a bad sister to my little sister because I don't keep track of my little sister's performances. I never had to. I'm a fucking kid. I don't know what the fuck her activities are. My dad does that. Like, and I just show up. We support each other. She said that I was disrespectful for not supporting her. When I was back at my old school, we had this choreography contest, and because it was a fine arts school, and you had to do like auditions and rehearsals and like get your choreography approved and everything like that. I did a hip hop dance and a contemporary dance one year, and she told me that my hip hop dance was distasteful, it was trashy, it was hood radish, all these things, just disparaging me as a choreographer and as me, someone expressing my art. So she would just pick apart and destroy every part of my character. And it was just like, it got to the point where I was questioning, like, am I a good person or am I not? Like, am I close with God or am I not? Am I going to hell or like, am I okay? And all these things. And so fast forward, the time where it really got bad, I go out to the movies with my friends. I will say that I was messed up. We lost track of time, stayed out all fucking night. I got home probably around like 11. We had gone to the movies at like 7 that day. We weren't paying attention. We did not acknowledge that my dad was calling us to check in. That is where I fucked up. I will never say that me fucking up and just not answering a phone call and showing home late does not warrant any kind of physical abuse. Ground me, strip away my punishments, or strip away my privileges that I basically had none. But as no. So I get home, I get dropped off, I get home. She's the only one at home. The minute I put my key in the door, she yanks the door open, pulls me inside, slams the door, and shoves me against the door. And I'm caught off guard, obviously. And she starts wailing at me. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get off me. You're fucking crazy. Like, what are you doing? She's like wailing on me. I'm like, oh my God, like, what the fuck? So I push her off and I run up the stairs because I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here because I don't trust this girl. She's gonna fucking kill me. I run upstairs, I go in my room, slam the door, lock the door. I change my shoes because I think I had like some slips or some slip shoes on. So I put on tennis shoes. I put on like a jacket. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. So I changed so I could be ready to go. I run out my room. I grab the phone. I start dialing 911. She hears me calling. I'm running down the stairs. I'm trying to talk to 911. She yanks the phone out of my hand, ends the call, and she starts beating me. I open the door for the garage because I'm like, okay, she's bombarded I can't get out the front door because it has like the lock. It's too many like things to try to open. So I'm like, garage, that's the best way for me to go. I open the door for the garage and I like go to swing my hand open to like click open the actual garage door, and she closes my arm in the doorway. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like trying to push her off. Obviously I only have one arm. So I finally get my hand out the door. She closes it and she like starts like pummeling me until we get into the office. At this point, I'm on the ground, like hands up, like trying to like block my face, everything like that, because she's just like wailing on me. I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? She's like, you're crazy. I'm like, no, you're fucking crazy. Like, do you see what you're fucking doing? Like, you're crazy. This is a grown woman. I'm not the smallest girl, but I'm smaller than she is, and I'm not ready to defend myself like that. Like, what the fuck? So I'm trying my best, but she has some weight up on me because, again, I've lost weight. At one point, she ends up biting my fucking hand. I had a bruise on my palm right here for months, to the point where after I left, months later, my cousin was like, what is this on your hand? I'm like, Tracy bit Tina bit me. Tina bit me. And she was like, what the fuck, girl? And my mom's side of the family, finding out everything that happened, that sent them in overdrive. But so that's another story, but we're tussling, everything goes back and forth. At some point, my dad ends up coming home and like breaking it up, but then I'm getting yelled at and I'm sitting there, I've lost my shit. I don't believe in yelling at parental figures or authority at that point, but I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you serious? Are you not seeing this? Like, this fucking girl just did this and this is what you're gonna do? Like, take up for your fucking daughter. Like, what do you not see? And it's just like, this World War III breaks out in this fucking house. And end up telling my dad, like, I hate you. Like, you're fucking disgusting. You're a sorry excuse for a parent. Like, I will never talk to you after I graduate. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. Like, I cannot believe you. I'm so disappointed in you. What don't you get? Like, open your fucking eyes. Like, this, I'm begging him to see this. I'm like, what don't you fucking get? What don't you get? How can you not see this? Like, I'm not. So the very first time, so this happens, he's like, end up going like, go to your room, go to sleep, whatever. So I shower, I go to bed, and I'm like bawling the whole night. I ended up taking this phone because I had got a secret phone at this point. Me and my little sister had like skipped buying lunch over the summer one day and like bought this like prepaid Virgin mobile phone because I needed a phone for, for emergencies, because I needed to be able to communicate it. Because at this point, I was not allowed to use the house phone. If I did use the house phone, the conversation was going to be monitored. So I had this phone that had like basically prepaid minutes on it for security. And so I grab it. My mind just was not thinking the right way, because I could have definitely used that phone to call 911 after everyone went to sleep and like, hey, get me the fuck out of here, you know? Because they definitely would have been able to see the bruises and stuff and been like, okay, something happened. But I did not think that way. Also, I was, again, still worried that I would be getting in trouble some kind of way for this. So I think I texted my friends and they were like, okay, come over come over tomorrow. Like, as soon as you can come over. If not, we'll talk about this at school. Because at this point I thought, like, I'm not going to fucking leave this house. Like, I'm going to be going to school and nothing else, you know, shit's going to get bad. The next day, my dad comes home from work and he's like, you need to like make a plan for getting out of here. You don't need to be here if I'm not here, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's my fault. Everything is my fault. I'm just sitting there like, this is unfucking believable. Like, how did shit get this place? How did we get here when we had a completely separate relationship 2 years ago? Like, what are we doing? So he's like, you can get out the house and, you know, go hang out with, one of your friends. So I was like, okay. So I go over there and I end up breaking down. Her mom sees me and she's like, what the fuck happened? So I'm telling them this whole story and everything. And her mom sits me on her bed and she's brushing out my hair. I'm pulling out clumps of my hair because my hair is so matted, because she was pulling out my hair during this fight. She's pulling out clumps of my hair. She's like, at this point, I need to see you every day to like check in and make sure you're okay. This is my friend's mom telling me this. And she's like, I need you to give me your information for your mom's side of the family, because they need to know what's going on, because I do not trust her. Something is wrong. Like, this is wrong. She ends up making me food and start giving me, she used to have it to where I would either go home with food or she would have me like stop over there before I went home to make sure I ate a home cooked meal. And that is how I ate anything in school, like while I was in school, that wasn't like ramen, something like one of those meals I talked about earlier. And so she reaches out to my cousin, tells her all these details, my older cousin, tells her all these details. My cousin ends up setting up time to go meet with my dad, to kind of discuss me living with her. My friend's mom even says, like, if you need to live with me to finish out the school year, that's totally fine. Like, we're going to get you taken care of. This is when I find out that all of the schools I applied to, they did not send in all of my applications or my recommendations letters. I really wanted to go to SFA because the year I was going to go to college, they were rolling out a 5-year bachelor's and master's program for accounting. I really wanted to go to school for accounting. She told me that I was lying. I made that program up, even though it's something that's totally researchable, even though it was something that the guide, when they did college day schools, the person talked to me about it, gave me the information about it. I had the information printed black and white, but no, I made that up. I fabricated the whole thing. It was a lie to her. So this is when I find out that all of the schools I wanted to go to for the programs that I wanted to go for, they did not have applications sent in. So when me and my friends that are checking our school applications, because one of my best friends was going to go to SFA2, she's like, check, you should be getting your notifications. You got it. And because it was one of those things, like, I was definitely going to get in. I had the fucking grades. Didn't get in. I didn't apply. There was no record of me. So that was that. They ended up having a dinner. I don't know what they told my cousin. It was some kind of lie, because when I moved into my cousin a couple months later, she told me didn't get in. I didn't apply. There was no record of me. So that was that. They ended up having a dinner. I don't know what they told my cousin. It was some kind of lie, because when I moved into my cousin a couple months later, she told me that she didn't have any idea that what was actually going on. We ended up packing a bag. The day I graduated, I walked across the stage, got my diploma, and then I never looked back. I moved out. Instead, actually, the last thing she really said to me was, she pulled me aside when we were walking back to the cars after graduation, and she goes, "Where's my key?" Talking about her house key. The little naive me was like, okay, maybe this is her moment where she's gonna like apologize for something or take accountability for something. But no, the day I graduated, which is the happiest day of my life, she is asking me for her house key. And I was just like, I don't have your fucking house key. Like, I have nothing to say to you. I went and got the house key from my friend's house, I think, and turned it in, and then I didn't look back. And if my dad has any question about why I do not speak to his wife, why I will not acknowledge his wife, you can watch this.
This is why I am a huge believer in listen to your kids and who they say they don't like, as well as stop forcing adults on your kids or your kids on adults that they say they don't like. Yes, sometimes kids, they're just being difficult, right? They're being teenagers, whatever. But what I heard, based on the story she told, you can tell she's not that type of girl, or wasn't that type of girl, because she had no problem calling the mother that raised her, the stepmom, mom. So if you kind of look at the history of her, she's not giving that she had an issue. Now, granted, I'm sure she did stupid stuff. We all have as teenagers that may have pissed off the parents. But you can tell that regardless of whatever she may have done, there's no way that I would ever condone that lady putting her hands on her. That's number one. First and foremost. You fathers, when you are entertaining other women, stop just trusting these people with your kids, because you don't know how vindictive or spiteful they could be. When she said that the lady started talking about her mother and saying that her mother did a poor job raising her or whatever she said, first off, my mother died of cancer. Second off, she only had a few years. What you mean? You can tell it's just utter disrespect. She's better than me, because the high school me would have laid that lady out. You can tell that lady had some issues, because first of all, your own kids don't live with you. While you have so much heat and energy for me, your own kids live with their fathers. Why? Number two, something that was a red flag for me was how she kept trying to act like, oh, well, you don't know these people. And, she had an issue with everything that the girl tried to do. Yet it's just like, I don't know you either, but here you are wanting me to call you mom. You see how that works? You know what I'm saying? Like, can't have it both ways. So which one is it? Got to keep the same energy across the board. But all in all, if I had to give a message of all messages, stop entrusting your kids with these people that you barely know. That's number one. Number two, if you do, listen to your kids. We grew up being told kids are supposed to be seen and not heard. And that's the wrong way, in my opinion, to treat a child, because the way they are growing up is how they'll become as an adult. So, of course, I hate disrespectful kids. But I also want my kids to know that if they say something, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to give them the best advice I could give them, or I'm going to take heed to situations that they may find themselves in, i.e., I feel like my step parent is A-Bing me. Like, it's crazy that the situation where she was pummeling her when she stayed out late to the movie theaters, that the dad came home and sided with the girlfriend. I don't care, or the wife, whoever she is. I don't care how wrong the daughter was. The punishment didn't meet the same standards as the crime, if you want to call it that. There's no way you should have had your hands on my child. So what are we doing here? We would have been jumping her. Like, I don't understand people. But first, like I said, number one, remember, stop trusting people with your kids. Number two, listen to your kids, because they'll tell you what's going on if you allow them to feel like they're in a safe place. This to me is crazy, but y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
Listen, I like chocolate girl, all shades, different flavors. She a diamond and a pearl. She a goddess with a mentor, yeah. Cinnamon swirl. She relate to what I've been through, yeah. Queen of my world.